Welcome to Start Lines and Swag Bags. The airing of this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not intended to replace advice from professional medical or training staff. Thank you for listening and your support of the Flying Pig Project.
So welcome back to another episode of Start Lines and Swag Bags. Today we have a whole new thing going. We have a live in-person interview we're going to have. So, not going to talk a lot. I'm just going to introduce my guest for today. It is Nicole. Nicole, hello. Please come onto the couch.
Thank you. Don't mind if I do.
Here's your sensory pillow
Oh, thank you.
for you to occupy
Sensory
yourself with while we're doing this recording.
Excellent.
All right, Nicole,
Yes.
introduce yourself.
My name is Nicole. I have run half marathons in the past, but I took some time off due to health reasons. But I am back in the game thanks to some lovely people and just excited to talk about how much it's helped me.
Excellent. All right. The first question is so important in any interview. You ready for the answer?
I think
Nicole, how do you know me?
I know Rachel because I was a backseat buyer at the shoe store that you worked at, and you sold my mom her running shoes. And she was very, I was going to say, this is, you're going to bother your mind. Yeah. You sold my mom shoes one day at the store. And my mom has this Midwest overpolite, I'm afraid to tell somebody no mentality usually when she shops, that if she doesn't buy something, the sales rep will go to their home and be like, sorry, Timmy, we can't have bread because the lady didn't buy shoes. So I usually go to tell her if something doesn't fit you right, everyone's going to live, the world will still turn, and everything will be fine. But you were so lovely and excellent, you nailed it.
So, for those of you who don't know, on the questionnaire, they do get points for creativity. All the points.
Points.
First of all, it's a fact, so it's not like it's a creative story. I really sold your mom shoes.
Yes.
Were you with her?
I was, yeah.
Oh boy, bless you.
And that was legitimately like, oh, this store actually knows what they're doing. So we've been back ever since.
That's I'm in the moment, kind of speechless. First of all, hold on. I'm not embarrassed. I don't remember because while I did work at the store a lot and still do, a lot of people come through the door, but I don't. How long ago was that?
I think it was at the old store. So it's been a hot
Oh,
minute.
wow.
It's been a hot minute, y'all.
Wow.
But that was technically the first time I met you. And then fast forward to me joining the running club at the store. And then I was like, oh, she sold my mom shoes. And then we had joked about, I think, a race or something shoe related mostly.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm like in the Wayback Machine. Oh my. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to collect myself because I did not expect that. So, Start Lines and Swag Bags. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you that started because I lost my master race list. You know, we all have a list of all the races we've done and all of this. And I had to put the whole list back together. Yeah. And I did that with certain things on the website. But I also went through tubs and tubs and tubs of shirts and this, that, and all the things that over the years, especially really more before COVID, that you would get from a race when you picked up your stuff.
Yep.
So the first question I have for you, because swag is one of my absolute favorite subjects, is what is the worst or best, you can choose, that swag that you've ever got?
I would say the worst, and I don't have it, was there was a tent at the finish line. This is the most insulting thing. They had a weight loss group, which I think, somebody in their PR just was missing the mark that week. And so you cross and you get your, I think it had a medal. It was like the Chicago 10K years ago. And then the second person you encounter after the medal is this woman saying, hey, join our weight loss club. And I was perplexed. I was very tired, but very perplexed. And then they just kept going, and they were so hyped about it, though. that you just were like, oh, honey, oh, sweetie.
Oh my.
And it was just the card. There was nothing else. But apparently someone in our group who later came said that they had like asked, oh, do you want measurements? And I was just like, this is such a weird time and place to get that. So I don't know if that really counts as swag. But
no,
measurements after running, probably being well hydrated is just not the place to do it.
So to your point, interesting. So when we talk about swag does have a lot of definitions.
Yeah.
And when I think of running, especially nowadays, because it used to be you get a bag and all these tchotchkes were in it and all of that.
Yeah.
But to me, swag is what a race provides.
Oh, okay.
So like swag is part of the environment. Swag could be they had the best delicious cookies. Swag could be they had warm milk. So swag is a lot of different things. And to me, that falls under the category because that's what the race thought would be good
to give to
you. Measurements after a race.
Yes. I think optimistic in thought, terrible in practice.
I would never. Okay, don't tell me don't tell me the exact race. I would never. No. Okay. Do you have a best?
I do, and I do have props.
Excellent. Props are allowed. Props are 100% allowed.
So there's a huge backstory. So to make a long story short, I had a wonderful opportunity to work somewhere where they hosted quite a significant amount of races. Y'all might know it as Run Disney. I interned, and on my first day, going around and meeting my team members, there was this man who had every single medal on his cubicle wall. I'm like, wow, what a miracle marathon man. And he said, no, I have run 2 of these, but I designed them. And I designed stuff. So I was like, sir, tell me, how do I get to do this? And he's like, well, I don't have anything now. Because at that time I was doing all the Avengers races, which there were 4 of. And that was rumored, the year I was working there was rumored to be the last one. So I was very feral to have this man reach out and tell me I could help with just any aspect of this race. 4 months passed and he did not show up in my cubicle until one day I see the bearded man approach me around the corner, and I think I yelped and was like, I know why you're here.
Did you hear that in her voice? Like that little shaky?
It was exactly like that.
I know.
And people were concerned. and were like, are you okay? And I was very okay. But I wasn't using words. I was very much like in tone. So David was his name. So generously allowed me to create not just 1, but 3 of the 4 or 5 medals for that race weekend. So the first, I don't know if you want to showcase. So this one was the Spider-Man 5K. It was our first Spider-Man themed race and the first time a medal had perforation or die cut in the professional terms. So it was a really big deal, a very, very, very big deal. So that was very exciting. And then that one went well. And he said, hey, I actually don't have the capacity to do more. So the second one is for the Thor 10K. And I'm a Loki fan, so I made sure to bring both helmets to the table for both.
And everyone, just so you know, we're going to take some pictures of these and they'll be in the show notes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't provide.
So you can go back and take a better look at what they look like. Oh, no, I've just been waiting to say show notes because
it's
going to be show notes.
Term.
Yeah.
And then the final one was the half marathon race medal, which that year was the first time they based it on a character versus the overall Avengers. So Black Widow was the last one. So it's like an all black medal. It has her symbol on it. It has the mileage on it. But yeah.
It's got a place to engrave.
Yeah.
These are phenomenal.
Thank you. It was so fun to make them. Just one being someone who had ran those races for basically since its inception. But yeah, wear them all. feel like a rock star.
Oh my God.
And I think it's my favorite swag, not just because I made it, but because after finishing all these races with the runners who, have their own journeys and are also probably most likely Super Marvel or Disney fans, it genuinely made me cry when I finished these races and people were, not even knowing me. They were like, oh, you hear them passing because you come out the corral and there's so many people and they're like, this might be my favorite race medal ever.
Oh.
And I was just like so moved.
Those are like,
Thanks.
so for those of you who are listening, that's why they will be in the show notes, because you do need to see these medals. I would do races just for those medals. Those are phenomenal medals.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's so much fun. And congrats to everyone who raced all of those races, and anyone who ran before, because I think this is the most fun like I've ever had. And my favorite swag, hands down.
and you see, back to what we all consider swag. Swag can also be the medal. Like, I have done races specifically because I know what the medal is going to look like. I have also been handed medals at the end of the race and been like, you got this from Oriental Trading Company and you paid $10 for 1,000. Thank you so much. So that's part of swag as well. Love that. Okay. Now, let's talk running advice.
Yes.
Running advice. Now, my guests are given questions ahead of time so that they can ponder. And the question I present is worst and best running advice. Now, before she gives an answer, I will preface this by saying neither one of us are doctors. We're not PTs. We're just people who do this for hobby. I do have a little experience in a running store, but that does not in any way, shape, or form make me an expert on anything. So some of the advice you're going to hear, it's very individualistic. It worked for her. Doesn't mean it's going to work for me. So do you want to start with best or worst, or do you have a best or worst?
So my answer is actually a little bit of both. really bringing productivity in here. I think based on just my personal experience, as you prefaced, I would say the best advice is to know when to push to the next level versus pushing your limits. So the very same race we were just talking about, I didn't know I had an underlying health condition. So I just kept pushing and pushing because all the coaches say, push harder, do this and things like that. And while that may not be specific to running per se in advice, I think that race, like, I just was really ignoring all the signs my body was trying to tell me. And I was thinking, oh, well, that's a good job because that's what athletes do. And, got to that finish line and I collapsed in volunteer's arms, and thankfully he was able to provide me with the medals. But then in that moment, it was very scary because I was like, ooh, I really just ignored so many red flags that was coming, the whole race. So it's not like it was sudden. Mm-hmm. And after that, part of the journey getting back into the running and everything like that again, it very much made me think, okay, am I going to not necessarily hurt myself, but am I now approaching a territory that could be dangerous and injure me more? Or am I just really coming up on where I want to be next? Am I really getting to that point and I just have to kind of get out of my own mental comfort zone?
That's good. So in my opinion, across the board, that is a very critical piece of advice. You really have to weigh the benefits and the possible
risks.
Not risks. Thank you. of what you're doing. I had a friend who I was working with who was having a really, really, really bad training run. And I asked them bold-faced, I said, if you finish what you're doing right now at the level you want to do it, are you going to hurt yourself? And that person had to stop in that moment and really think. And when they figured out the answer was yes, mm-hmm. I was able to get them to be in a place where they felt okay to stop. To your point, I think sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to remember that we need to do what's best for us And who cares what everybody else thinks? Because I think a lot of that does come from what you're thinking other people are thinking of you.
Yes.
And what you're doing. And we forget that they're not thinking about you.
Right.
But
they're not aware of the capacity that you may have in that moment.
100%. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
What's the worst?
Ooh.
Because you said you had both.
I would say the worst is in the context I was thinking the worst was pushing past your limits.
Okay.
But the worst I saw last week during 10K, a man was eating an Egg McMuffin 5 minutes before a half marathon, and it took everything in me not to just smack it out of the man's hand and say, "Don't do that, please, please." I don't know where the porta potties are, sir, but they will not be in close enough proximity for your use.
Okay. Now, that's the interesting fact with that. First of all,
Yep.
no one recommends you have an Egg McMuffin 5 minutes before a race. But interestingly, if you were to ask him, have you done this before?
Right.
He may say, I've done this the past 35 races, and it's not
A problem for me.
problem. So our perception, I would never tell somebody.
I know. I was like, I don't want to be rude and say no, but
Oh my God.
it's not really advice. But I don't know. The way he was carrying himself, and then one of his friends was like, "Oh, I should have gotten one. I wanted to just intervene so badly." But I'm like, this isn't my place. The stars are not aligned for me to have the confidence to intervene. It was rough. It was so rough to watch.
I can't. All right. So, I know I put this on your paper. It's not on my paper, so I'm going to have to wing this a little bit. First, I did ask favorite racing distance.
Oh, yes. So mine is probably the half marathon because that was the first big race I had ever ran with like intent. I'd done some 5Ks, but mostly walking. But the half marathon, I think, is my favorite one because it's early and it's not a marathon. And my knees.
It's early and it's not a marathon.
And
that's the.
And my knees are grateful for that. But also, I think it's just such a good run in the sense of it's a little bit more. You're asking yourself to do a little bit more. Again, kind of pushing your own mental comfort zone and physical comfort zone, but not super strenuous, not an ultra, not like somebody who does those out the gate. And if you do, kudos to you. I don't think that'll ever be a route for me, but I think it's amazing. And I think that's why I cling to it so much. It's just, there's so much tied with that first experience I had, as well as the following half marathons I did.
What's the latest half marathon you've done?
That was the one I collapsed at in 2017. So that was the last one.
Have you not done one since 2017?
Nope. Because of my health issues. So I had like a thyroid issue. It was 3 times the size. Heart rate was crazy. So I was not getting enough oxygen. So in the progression of my race photos, I'm turning blue because there's not enough oxygen. So that's what I mean. Like, listen to your body, y'all. Don't be a Nicole. Don't be a 2017 Nicole specifically. Sorry.
She turned into a Smurfette.
Exactly.
Into Smurfette.
Violet Beauregard and Willy Wonka ain't got nothing on those photos. So I paused, and part of it was the fear because that was such a scary moment that I was like, I can't go back. I don't know, because I got so acclimated to what that felt like that it intimidated me. But I'm very happy to say I have a 10-miler in April of 2025 that I've signed up for.
Which one?
It'll be the springtime surprise. I'm doing the 5K, the 10K, and the 10-miler with some of our friends from our running group
In
Walt Disney World.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No. Okay. So it's a Disney series.
Yeah,
Okay, that
yeah.
makes sense. Okay.
I-
Because in my brain I'm like Chicago Land.
who's that?
We don't have a 10-miler in April. Like 10-milers are not a lot of races we see in this area. There's only maybe 3 or 4 I could name.
Right.
So that's good. So what's the longest? So you've done 5Ks. We all know that. Have you done any 10Ks?
10Ks last weekend, yes, yeah. And
Last
it's under the
weekend?
bowl. Yeah, the Naperville Trails 10K.
Oh, that's
really,
right.
Really let me tell y'all,
That's right.
if you play Pirates of the Caribbean in the last quarter mile, you're unstoppable, because that's what was playing in my head, or not my head, sorry, my headphones, to complete the statement. And
it was over the voices that was in her head as well.
And I was very much like so hyped. And I think because it was kind of, I did 4 on the 4th, but that was like a higher mileage that I hadn't done in almost 7 years. So I was very pumped. I was very excited. I was like all about it. I was cheering everyone passing me. I don't even know if I was saying words at that point. I was just so excited to be there.
Do I have a picture of it? I don't think
I posted, but I'm happy to share.
Yeah,
because I'm cheesing in the photo. Like you can see, runner's high is just
I show note. I need the photo.
Nice.
I actually have never done that race. I've done a different neighborhood race, but I've never done. Where's the trail race?
So it's by Donata Farms.
Yes,
with the
I know
horse
it.
stables.
Yep.
So I was sad because I'm, 10-year-old Nicole wanted to see, inner 10-year-old Nicole wanted to see horsies. There were none. However, there was a Great Dane. So I think that was a nice compromise. The domestic horse.
Did they start you on the grass?
We were on the trail, and then I think almost the whole route was trail. We ended on the actual like horse circuit, which was all grass. So I very much was lifting knees like an equestrian, and I was like, this probably looks way more majestic when you have an extra set, not just for those who can't see. Galloping gangly legs just took place.
And for anybody who's done any type of race at Donata Forestry over that area, most races do start, unfortunately, in a grassy section and ends in a grassy section. And so the first, I think, quarter mile of the race is awful. And then you run, and everything else is very nice, actually. Like the rest of it is perfect. And then all of a sudden you're going to end, and you're like, oh, God, I'm back on the grass. And it's not a great way to end a race on tired legs.
Right.
You're prancing.
But that's what I'm telling you. The Pirates of the Caribbean theme, you run like Jack Sparrow. You have because you're just trying to lift anything off the ground. So I think it helped.
I have such a vision in my head.
If my mother has a recording, I will provide that for humor purposes.
I have such a vision. All right. There's 2 last questions. I'm trying to think which one I want to do first. I'm going to do the one that you were thinking about, the famous runner.
Yes.
Now, I will admit, when I ask the question, I say famous runner you'd like to meet. And it doesn't have to be a runner per se, but like someone that influences you or you feel you'd like to meet on your fitness journey, like on your running journey. Because, we'd all like to meet a lot of famous people, but I'd like to keep it to...
My answer is very different. I took a different approach. Should we entertain it?
You absolutely.
So this is very niche. If time travel is permitted in this multiverse,
yes,
I have to, because there's so much, Rachel. I would have to go back in time to the 1940 men's marathon of the U.S. Olympics. There's a specific reason for this, because the race was absolutely chaotic. They wanted to have this be, around during the World's Fair at that time. And the guy who was organizing the event was like really adamant about having it be like an authentic experience to the Olympics. So during the French Olympics this year, they kind of did a nod to that gentleman and really kind of restoring how we can have all these sports and international inclusivity. That said, this race was just bad from the start. The planning, everything terrible. They had 4 runners compete. The distance was wrong. So they did more than they were supposed to. One man took a nap and then ran again. Another man ate spoiled apples and just was sick the entire time. And he almost died on the course. Then there were 2 gentlemen who, and this is real deep. I won't do the deep dive. There were 2 gentlemen who were brought in from Botswana as like, ooh, this is going to sound real bad, but they were basically a spectacle at the World's Fair. Okay. And they threw them in just to see what would happen. And there were no markers. They didn't understand anything. So imagine just sending these 2 men in a foreign country and just saying, go, run. And they're like, and they're thinking, how long? Okay. And they're just going. One got lost. Another runner had gotten into a car for some mileage because he's like, well, no one's here. So, they're not going to find me. And then he was later disqualified when it was found. But then the guy who they forced to finish, he was losing. And his two coaches said, you know what the answer is? And this is real. Go, please look this up. This is so fascinating. They shoved brandy and rat poison in him because they were like, it'll keep you awake. And this man is quite literally dying on the course. And they carried him into the last 2 miles or something like that. And they call him the winner. So
What?
all of them is who I want to meet because I need to know.
Oh, please. Shoved
Yes.
into him.
Yeah. Yes, the top part. Sorry,
Okay.
Specifically. Sorry.
Sorry, if you
As far as records indicate,
let's be, because we want to be clear.
we are all about historical accuracy
Yeah.
in this podcast. But it is probably the craziest story I have ever heard. And the fact that they were like, yes, we will still give them medals is fascinating to me.
So, okay. So, first of all, there are no words that I have to express how fascinated I am.
That's what I mean.
And so what you'd like to do is not necessarily meet a famous person. You'd like time travel. You'd like the phone booth from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Absolutely.
Pop yourself inside.
Yep.
Go back and just be able to watch it all
The chaos
happen.
unfold. Yes.
That I will get in the phone booth with you
Thank you.
anytime to go back. That's amazing.
It's insane. It is one of the craziest stories I've heard, and I'm like, there is no way this is true, which I'm sure all of you are thinking at this moment. But you've probably Googled since I started opening up my mouth and saying these words, and it is absolutely true. That's crazy.
That's amazing.
So not quite as uplifting as you hope, but man, look how far we've come.
We've learned a lot.
A lot.
Today. All right. Now, the final question. What has been your favorite race?
Ooh, I love this one. Favorite race, because as soon as I read the question, I had the immediate answer. It would be the 2016 5K, Captain America 5K I did with my mom during my, I guess, technically third year doing the Avengers Half Marathon race, because my mom had always cheered me on during the race. So you only get to see people spectating at certain points. So having her on the other side and getting to run with my favorite superhero, my mom, is easily one of my favorite moments of all time, because she was just, she was dressed as Captain America. I was Spider-Man. I have more photos.
More show notes.
And she was just having the time of her life, and that she knew she could do it because she has rheumatoid arthritis. So some of her hands and everything, it makes it difficult to walk or run in certain temperatures. But she was like a little kid, and I was just, all right, we're going this way. Follow the markers. These guys are wearing these vests because they don't want you to run into them because they're taking your photo. And she was like, like the runway. The main street of Disneyland was her runway, and having superheroes cheer for you. She's like, who's that guy? Who's this guy? Because she doesn't really know them all. It was really cool to experience that. So very fun. And if that's another time travel moment, if I could go back to that race every weekend with my mom, I absolutely would.
That's an amazing answer. That is an amazing answer. That's a great way to wrap up. To end on that
I'm glad
note.
you asked in that order too.
That, see, I'm learning how to answer them in a row. That, I have truly enjoyed this.
Me too.
You have been, this episode, here's the fun, I'm going to share a little fact with you all. When Nicole is recording this episode right now, I'm still in the stage of recording about 6 or 7 episodes. So I honestly have no idea where this episode is going to fall. It could be out in 4 weeks. It could be out in 8 weeks. I don't know. And so a lot of the reactions I'm having, I could not have asked for a better in-person guest to try this interesting format with. And the things you've shared and all that, I'm blown away. That being said, of course, you are on Start Lines and Swag Bags. So as a parting gift, you do, of course, have to be given your little start lines and swag bags. Swag bag. She doesn't get to open it in front of the camera. But I will tell you that there's a magnet for thank you for being a guest.
Oh, thank
and
you.
Some very specific stickers from my new irreverent, that's the correct word, irreverent sticker collection, which is coming out. And that is for you
Thank
as
you
a
so
gift for
much.
being here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here. There you go. Thank you so much for being on the show. I hope we have you back in the future.
I hope so. I mean, I live behind your couch, and I should
Yeah.
probably make my way back.
Why don't you head back to, where you came from.
Nice to meet y'all.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Peace out, everybody. See you at the next start line.